Oh, you can kind of barely see my devil horn headband. Oh well, I can't lower myself anymore or the frame will look weird. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It is finally time for the video I said I would be making for months, the I hate short form content bochinche chat. So if you're new to my channel, bochinche chat is just my name for a try to get ready with me where I talk about a topic of whatever the hell is on my mind. And I have had this topic just in my brain hole for a while. Ever since like my last kind of social media break. I talked about it in my last try to get ready with me bochinche chat. I'll throw that up in the cards if you missed it. But just short form content, not just short form beauty content, but short form content in general. And like TikTok, Instagram Reels rotted my brain. And I finally recently almost completely detoxed from any of that kind of social media. And I just want to talk about it because I don't think I'm the only one who's experiencing this, especially with how absolutely insanely huge TikTok has gotten and how it seems like everyone has jumped ship from every other type of like platform, whether it be Twitch or live streaming or YouTube or Instagram. Now everyone seems to be on TikTok. And I can't stand short form content. So we are gonna do a try to get ready with me. So we're gonna do a try to get ready with me while I talk about it. Now I have a lot of notes about this, so if you see me looking over here, it's because I have my Notion page open for this video and I have like paragraphs of notes and just an outline of what I want to talk about so I don't forget anything, because I feel like there's a lot I want to talk about, and if I don't have a list, I will forget parts. Now for the makeup, I have recently finally found a combination of products that I can leave on my skin without powdering them down. Now, typically I always go for like the full glam, like medium to full coverage foundation, and I powder everything down, and that's like kind of the most comfortable I felt with makeup, especially back when I used to have to commute to work, so I needed stuff to like sit and stay and not budge for a whole day. But even though it is getting to be hotter here in New Jersey, and even though it is summer, I do work from home and I stay inside for the most of the time, except for whenever I walk our corgi Rex. So I have a little bit more flexibility there, and I only recently started experimenting with like all cream products and like not setting them down with powder. So I finally have some products and a routine that I liked the look of leaving everything dewy. So I thought I could show you guys that today. So let's just jump in because this is probably going to be a long video. So for primer, I went ahead and already used the Too Faced Hangover RX primer. I just recently filmed another makeup look and I had to wash it all off before this get ready with me. So if my skin felt a little tight, so I wanted to go with something super moisturizing just to prep the skin for the rest of the makeup look. So I've already put that on, and let me talk about the next few products I'm going to be using so that way when I start talking, I can just keep going until I forget. But this was a recommendation from Amanda Z's channel. This is the Shishedo Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. This is such a good foundation. I am shocked that I've never really tried anything from Shishedo until now. So I've really been liking this, and I have the shade Alabaster 110, and you'll see what the shade looks like when I actually put it on. So that's going to be the foundation. For concealer today, this is actually surprising me. This is one of the only concealers I've tried where it looks good on my skin, but I don't really need to powder it, and it looks nice throughout the full day. And it's from Armani. This is the Armani Luminous Silk Concealer, and I have shade 3.75, because if you missed, it was one of my last videos where I was talking about how shade 1 is like a dark shade. It's 3.75. That's the lightest shade in their range for foundation and concealer, which makes not a damn lick of sense to me, but hey, it works. And this actually works really, really well for me. And it's got a rosy undertone, and I didn't think it would look, I thought it would look too dark for me, but it kind of combines like a color corrector and a concealer. So even though it's got a rosy undertone to it, it ended up looking really nice on my under eyes. So I gotta say, those two products together, I'm shocked that they work so well, especially because when you hold them side by side, the shades look rather different. But when they actually are on the skin, they look really nice. So after that, I'm going to go in with the Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Virtue. And then for bronzer and contour-y, I've got the gel, what is it called? The KVD Gelcon liquid bronzer contour. And I just have the lightest shade. It's in the shade Light. Oh, I forgot to sweat my sponge. Please hold. And we are back. All right, so let's start off with the good. And there's very little on the good side of this. But I downloaded TikTok like a lot of people did as soon as the first lockdowns happened in March of 2020. I live on the east coast of the US in New Jersey, so it was like the second week of March is when I was told to work from home, and we were on lockdown. Now at the time, I don't want to like get super too into it and throw a bunch of drama out there, but I was living in a very toxic family situation with family members that are very much bucket crabs. And if you know what I mean, it's like those people that they're almost always just like miserable, and they're not happy unless everyone else is miserable with them. So like if you ever have something good happen to you, or if you just want to talk about something that's not, upsetting or making you angry or anything, they will pull you down to their level. And at that time, I loved going to work. So I would commute to work, and I spent most of my days commuting or at work. So that really all I had to do was like come home and like pass out and go to sleep and then do the same thing the next day. So when lockdown happened, it was not fantastic for me. It was not. Alvin ended up being an essential worker. So he was working like 12, 13-hour days every day. Like literally, I think for like 2 months straight, nothing but worked. He got a lot of overtime, which ended up being great for us later down the road when we went to like find a place to live together. But I was working from home, and I was kind of like stuck on my own in this not ideal family situation, and it took a huge toll on my mental health. Ultimately, that's why Alvin and I worked so hard to find an apartment together. This is where we live right now, because he was dealing with something similar, because not only does he like live with his family, it's a family business, so he works with them as well. So it wasn't the best situation for either of us. He was like overworked. I was just languishing in this family house. So that's where TikTok came in. I downloaded TikTok. It was an amazing distraction from everything that was happening. And it served well as that distraction when I literally had nothing else going for me other than staying home and working. That was it. I had some books I could read. That was about it. So back when we were on lockdown and I was hiding in my room most of the time, and I had no one else that I could feasibly go to because Alvin was working. My best friend lives hours away, and even then we were on, quarantine, so you couldn't reach out to other people or really see other people. It was a welcome distraction, and I have to say, I had many great hours scrolling through and enjoying it, but as my life is now, TikTok and short form content does not play nicely into it at all. And what do I mean by that? Number one is my attention span was shot. Yeah, I know mostly people talking about short form content and how it kills your attention span are mainly referring to like children and teenagers, but I noticed as a 30-year-old woman that my attention span, the more I was on Reels and on TikTok, my attention span was completely shot. I was having trouble focusing. I couldn't read a book. I was having difficulty focusing like at work, and I work from home, and normally since we've moved here, I've been super productive working from home, especially more so now that we live here. So during the day, it's just me and our corgi here at home. So I really had like no distractions. But when I was just constantly ingesting short form content, my ability to focus was so badly affected. And it was just this never-ending cycle. So I gotta say, it's funny how pale this is looking on camera, because in person this is a much closer shade match to my face. But we're gonna move on to concealer now. So I had a much harder time just focusing on everything and anything, and I was constantly just scrolling. Even when I was doing like busy work for work, I had TikTok open and I was scrolling, and at one point I even got the accessibility. There's like a hack you could do with the accessibility options on iPhone so that you can activate the scroll on TikTok with just your voice, so you don't even have to go in and like push it. And I had that enabled, and it just got really, really bad. I was literally, I don't want to say addicted because I don't want to downplay actual social media or content addiction, because I definitely was not that far, but it was such an impulse to constantly go in and keep scrolling and see what was there. And it was just like little hits of dopamine and serotonin, and it was really hard to walk away from. So while this concealer isn't like super full coverage, I can still see some of my under eye like darkness, but it looks so natural on the skin. It looks very, very skin-like, and even when it like creases, because I do have fine line under my eyes and it is going to crease to an extent, but even then it still looks really, really nice. So in addition to having trouble focusing like at work, I was just feeling like super tired all the time, because I had also like abandoned the rest of like my actual self-care activities and my hobbies. So like instead of reading a book for 20 minutes before bed, I was just constantly scrolling on TikTok. Instead of working out, like I got out of the habit of working out regularly, which helps my mental health and my physical health so much. I got out of that habit, and instead after work every day, I would just keep scrolling until I had to make dinner. And then after dinner, I would scroll on TikTok. And afterwards, I felt terrible. But I am getting ahead of myself a little bit there. So, attention span was killed. I was just feeling extra tired all the time, to the point where really the only energy I had after, like in my free time, was just to sit there and scroll. And it was having a terrible effect on my body and on my mental health. So I'm going to let this like sit and kind of dry down and set a little bit before I move on to the next steps. And while we sit, let's talk about Twitter. So let's go back to some other social media platforms. I deleted Twitter long before like the Elon stuff happened, but I felt like on Twitter, all I was doing was doom scrolling. I was scrolling. I was constantly checking for updates. I was like glued to the Twitter app. And there are times when that was a big help to me. Like I was up to date on like these news things. I was seeing, drama or updates as they were happening. And it was entertaining for a while, but then it became draining. And it was so just draining. And I mentioned this in a video a while ago, but short form content and constantly strolling was just mentally exhausting. And it's actually got some basis in scientific fact. So I've got a couple of videos I watched. I'll throw them in the pinned comment in the description box, talking about the science behind, the little hits your brain gets whenever you check for a new update, or you get a notification, or you're constantly scrolling on an app. And it's very similar to the same kind of like hype you would get like gambling. So like a slot machine is the way that they described it. And it made a lot of sense. So I first noticed how negatively that was impacting me when I had Twitter. So I deleted my Twitter. I completely deleted the app. And then after that, the Elon shit show happened. So, I was even better off for it. But I noticed the same way I was feeling on Twitter, I was slowly starting to feel that same way about Instagram and then about TikTok. So ultimately, I was overstimulated and I was overinformed. And I was just like constantly inundated with a bunch of stuff that ultimately, to me and my life, my everyday life, did not ultimately matter. And I was just exhausted because it was like this constant cycle of learning more info, expressing. So my battery died mid-thought there. But what I wanted to say is, if you wanted a good representation of how I was feeling on Twitter and ultimately sooner on Instagram and TikTok, take a look at Bo Burnham's song, A Little Bit of Everything All the Time, because it's exactly how it felt. And I just love Bo Burnham, by the way. But that song is exactly how I was feeling. And it was just like doom scrolling all the time. All right, this is set. It's not completely set, so it still feels a little bit dewy, but I feel like it looks really, really nice. And once I put on like the bronzer and the blush, it's gonna look really, really like dewy and pretty. So I'm gonna go in with the Real Techniques 220. This is like a duo fiber kind of brush, and I found out that this is the best way that I found so far to apply this kind of gel bronzer kind of product. So I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand, and then I like to kind of swirl my brush in, pick it up, and slowly apply, like stipple it on almost. So the constant scrolling on TikTok and on Instagram Reels was making me miserable. I noticed that like every time I would spend an hour or two laying down and scrolling, that when I was finally done and I would get up, I would just feel terrible. Mentally, I would feel terrible. Physically, I would feel terrible. And I was just like spiraling to the point where I wasn't doing any of my hobbies that made me happy. I completely neglected my self-care. I wasn't taking care of myself physically or emotionally or mentally. And it honestly all tied back to the short form content and how much it just like sucked my day away. Like you start out and it's just like, oh, they're only 6-second, 30-second videos. But when you're constantly scrolling, those few minute videos turn into hours of your day. And it was every day. And I tried putting the timer on my TikTok so that I would only have access to it for like an hour a day. And that worked for a little bit, but ultimately it wasn't enough. And every time I got on TikTok, I would log off TikTok feeling worse. Just every single time. And I know Taylor Wynn talked about it as well, and that's why she deleted TikTok, because she said every time that she used it, she would log off feeling worse about herself. And that's not how you're supposed to feel when you use a social media platform, ultimately. Unfortunately, a lot of people end up feeling terrible because they're either comparing themselves to other people, or they're constantly scrolling, or they're searching out content that isn't nourishing to them, right? So I was definitely, hiccup and burp. So I was definitely in that camp. So I'm going to take the side of my sponge and just kind of blend it in a little bit more. And then I think I'm going to take a little bit of it just down onto my jawline, help this blend a little bit. Because on camera it's looking a lot paler than it is in real life, but hey, can't complain. So that's when I finally decided, you know what, I can't just do a timer on this thing. I need to just like completely delete the app. So I deleted TikTok. I have to keep re-downloading Instagram because the platform I get a lot of my PR through requires you to post on Instagram. So I end up re-downloading it specifically for Influencer. But outside of that, I've also mostly gotten rid of Instagram as well. And I noticed that it took a little bit of time for like my attention span to kind of go back to the way that it was normally. Like I could sit down and read a book for an hour or two again. And I could like sit in my own thoughts and just like lay down and relax and not constantly need to have my phone scrolling through content at all times. It was overstimulation like to the third degree. It was kind of insane. And I kept comparing like TikTok and short form scroll based content to fast food. I kept calling TikTok the junk food of social media because it would be great while you're eating it or while you're in there constantly scrolling, but then afterwards you would feel terrible. You would just like, after ingesting all of that sugar and extra calories and everything, like McDonald's, like every now and then I crave a nice like chicken sandwich from McDonald's. So I'll go out and I'll get it. But I know that afterwards I'm probably not going to feel great because it's just like trash. You know, sometimes you can crave trash, but you shouldn't be having trash all the time. All right, I got a bronzer on. I'm going to go in with the blush. Also, another serious like bad thing that TikTok is doing just in general to social media is that trend cycles have never been shorter. Like we used to see trend cycles we thought were like super short back in like the late 2010s, and trends would last a few weeks, or it was a few months, and then it got shortened to like a few weeks. And everyone is like, wow, why are trends going so fast? Fashion trends, makeup trends, houseware, homeware trends. But now with TikTok, you're seeing micro trends, and it's insane how fast things are coming in and out of trend. And it's having a terrible effect on our environment. It's having a terrible effect on us. It's causing people to like overconsume even more than we already were. Because like I think as a society, we obviously do overconsume to an extent for a lot of things. But just the absolute level that TikTok ratchets it up to is immeasurable. Ooh, see, we're looking cute. We're looking cute. I almost wanted to bring the blush over to do kind of like a cold girl thing, but I am going to do something a little bit dramatic on the eyes. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Also, I'm going to say a super, super petty reason right now that I also don't like TikTok and Instagram Reels is that it never uses like a full song. So whenever anything was like going viral, it would only be like a 20-second clip of a song. It reminded me of, watch me date myself here. You remember hit clips? Those little things that would play like 30 seconds of a song and that's all you could keep on you and you'd have like your little keychain of hit clips. I felt like we went back to that because all these trending audios were like only 30 seconds long. And so whenever I got one of them stuck in my head, it wouldn't even be the whole song. It would just be like 30 seconds of it. That drove me absolutely fucking nuts. It did. So I am also much happier now that I don't have song snippets stuck in my head. Oh, and look, now we have brows. How pretty. And I just used the Kosas Airbrow in the shade black, and now I'm going in with the Holi Pop this was a clear brow gel at some point, and now the whole thing is like black because I just use it with all of my black brow products. So as of now, the only social media that I go on and use regularly and I log off feeling, if not better about myself than the same when I first got on, it's YouTube. YouTube's the only social media I still like. So I've slowly but surely like been moving everything just over. I started my vlog channel a few months ago and I've really been enjoying just like posting lifestyle content and doing something a bit more outside of makeup there. But also it's giving me a space to express myself that normally I would have gone to other platforms for, like Instagram, like Twitter, like TikTok. Instead, I'm just doing it on a separate YouTube channel and it's made me so much happier. Honestly, that was like the solution, was kind of consolidating everything into the one platform that I still enjoy. So where do we go from here? So this is it for like the base look. I'm gonna hop off to do my eyes because I'm actually filming another video with a bunch of eye looks. So I'm gonna hop off, do the eye look, and then come back here to talk about the conclusion for this rant. By the way, these are the setting sprays that I'm using. Alright, we are back. The eyeshadow is done, and this video should be going live before this one, I believe. If it is, I will throw it up in the cards. If not, make sure you're subscribed so that you're here whenever that video does go live. I'm shocked at how much I actually like this eye look. It's dramatic, it's different, it mixes colors together I never really would have thought of putting together. Like, we got purple, we've got gold, we've got like a dark brown that looks almost like a gray. It's really pretty. I surprised myself there, but really, ChatGPT surprised me there. But so we have this, and let's talk about the conclusion here. So looking at my notes, where do we go from here? My first thought was protect your peace, but don't be willfully ignorant. There's like a fine line between overwhelming yourself with news and, you know, your hobby community updates and everything. But also, you don't want to just completely cut yourself off, right? You don't want to be ignorant. You want to be well informed. You want to be up to speed, but you don't want to be overwhelmed. So like, it's still, to me, it is still like an ever-growing journey of me figuring out what's the right balance here. But I think the point is there needs to be a balance. So like for me, I deleted TikTok, I deleted Twitter, I keep Instagram, I delete it and I upload it again on my phone whenever I need to do something. But really, I've just kind of limited myself to accessing Instagram on my computer. So like only if I'm sitting here at my Mac or if I've got my laptop, then I can go on Instagram, because I'm much less likely to watch the scroll and stuff, like the short form content, if I'm on a computer. So it kind of discourages me from doing that. But then also it gives me like a limit, because I'm not sitting at my personal computer or my laptop for really that long every week, so it kind of limits it there. So really it's about like, what do you keep on your phone versus what do you access on a computer? And for me, I found out it works a lot better if I kind of remove almost everything except for YouTube from my phone and podcasts and stuff I still enjoy listening to and engaging in, and then everything else that's been like toxic, either I just completely got rid of it or I only access it like on my computer. And then I have other ways of accessing like news and information. Like I have news websites bookmarked on my personal computer and my work computer, and like in the morning when I'm drinking my coffee, I like to log on and like read NPR, check out my super hyper local news for a little bit, maybe check out like my tri-state area news. But it's limiting myself to like dipping my toe in the morning, getting well informed, getting a nice outlook, and then bringing myself back, because otherwise I could just keep scrolling, keep reading, and just get too far into it, right? So it's really all about setting like those boundaries and like setting and keeping to the routine. So it's really about setting those boundaries, sticking to your routines. And then my last final thought here is that we don't need to be constantly entertained or overstimulated all the time. Boredom can be a good thing. Boredom is a good thing every now and then, right? I get my most creative. I get the most inspiration for random shit. Not even just for YouTube, for like other things, for books, for movies, for everything, when I am bored. So I need to carve out time to like allow myself to be bored every now and then. And I feel like that's being lost a lot, is that it's like almost a crime, like in boredom says, it's a crime to be bored, right? You should never be bored. But there are times when like you need to be, right? Either do a detox from social media or technology, or just spend like half an hour before bed, instead of you're constantly scrolling, just sit in bed, maybe listen to some calming music, maybe read a little bit of a book, and then just kind of lay and like deflate from the day. I feel like making sure to carve out that time for boredom instead of over constantly throwing stuff at your brain is really going to help in the long term. So that's it. That is this long-winded bochinche chat about how much I hate short form content and how I'm kind of not engaging with it. Now, one little note is that you might say, Monica, you hate short form content. Why are you posting YouTube shorts? So the only shorts that I'm posting are really snippets from longer videos. And that's really just to kind of advertise for those longer videos. So I posted like a Shop My Stash. I have a whole playlist of Shop My Stash videos, and those, I thought I would like filming them for short form content. It's not my favorite. I still like filming stuff better for long form content, so there might be some Shop My Stashes coming for as a regular video. And then the other things I've posted snippets from my Pan That Palette series. I've posted snippets of the swatches for my Black Lipstick series. So I don't want to create content I don't like enjoying, like actually consuming, right? So I'll post those little snippets as like advertisement for the channel to see if anything catches in the algorithm, but I don't think I'm going to be creating any specific content that I don't necessarily enjoy consuming myself. So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this made sense because I had notes, but I kind of just word vomited throughout the most things. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down below. Make sure you're subscribed, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.